Hi everybody, welcome back. Hope you're all doing okay. Today we have some coasters and I'm using this beautiful mould from Moulds and Shapes and some flowers that I have grown in my garden. This is the first summer. I've been able to grow, press and make something with my very own flowers and I'm so pleased. There are many more flowers being planted. But the rain's a bit terrible this year, so we'll see if any more turn out. So we have some Apex resin already mixed up, and I'm adding in some Supreme White from Just For You Online UK. Now I want a very pale lilac colour for this, so I'm adding a bit of white and then we'll also add in a little tiny bit of Sweetpea from Create and Bloom Crafts. And this gives me just such a soft pastel lilac colour that in some lights does look white, but if you put it against a white piece of paper you can tell that there's a hint of colour in there. So I think that would go really nicely with the purples and yellows in the flowers that I've already picked for using. Just checking that my mould is completely clean. And as I say, I'm just going to add a little bit of Sweetpea pigment. These pigments are absolutely gorgeous. You will have heard of me talking about them before in previous videos. Please go and have a look at createandbloomcrafts.com. So for this first layer, I just want a little bit of resin sitting on the bottom of the mould. I want to make sure that it reaches into, I was going to say it reaches into all the corners. There are no corners. It reaches into all of the curved points in the mould. But I don't want it too thick because I've got a couple more layers to put on the top of this. So just a little bit in the middle, letting it spread out a wee bit, and then I will just use the silicone tool just to kind of spread it out a wee bit more. I have to say I'm so pleased. I wish I'd done a close-up of this at the while I was doing the video, because there are no bubbles in this resin. None. Even I have managed to mix it and not have any bubbles. Fantastic. You see how it's a very pale shade? And I'm just making sure it reaches the edges. I do think my table's a wee bit wonky. I might have to do something about that. Put some cardboard or something under one of the table legs just to even it out a wee bit. But yeah, I'll worry about that in another video, another day. As I said, no bubbles. I'm just topping off each of the moulds just to make sure that they're all level. And I'm going to put just a piece of cardboard with some clear film over it just to stop any dust getting in while it sets. So it's not actually set 100%, I still have a tiny wee bit of tackiness left in the resin. So I probably have left it for about an hour and a half maybe. And I've gone back because I want to put some of the flowers in, but I just want them to stick and no more, so that they don't move about when I put the next layers of resin in. And I'm just trying to I'm not aiming for perfection and for each mould to be an exact copy of the rest, but I do want them to look part of a set and I do want them to look pretty similar. So I'm just putting in some lavender As I said, this is grown in my garden, which is just amazing. I'm not a planty garden person, but I've been growing into it over this past year. Now, I think these are possibly called blue daisies. I'm not 100% sure on that. I do know that they look like daisies and they're blue, so we'll just go with blue daisies. So imagine them, and I have some yellow buttercups. Now these were found just in the grassy area just outside my garden, so I have pinched them and made a mental note that that's a good place to check for any more flowers. The yellow colour has stayed really vibrant while I've been pressing them. So I have some more from the garden. I'm not sure what these ones are called. If anyone knows the answers, give me a shout, because I forgot to put the plant name marker in the pot, so I can't remember what they're called. And I'm just going to add them to this very slightly tacky resin, just to make sure that they all stick and stay in place. Tiny little press, just to make sure they don't move. And what does every mould need? What does every item need? A bit of glitter. So this glitter I have mixed up myself, and it's a sort of lilac-y, silvery shade of glitter, and there are tiny little, that looks like hundreds and thousands, tiny little silver pieces, which you'll be able to see in a close-up later on in the video. Again, I don't want these to float all over the place when I add in my top coat, so I'm kind of just hoping that they will stick enough onto the tacky resin. So I'm going to put another layer over the top, and this should set with everything attached and in the correct place underneath. Again, no bubbles in the resin. Yeah, just make sure all these leaves and petals are placed under the resin. I haven't quite topped it up to the very top. I haven't quite filled it to the very top, because I do think I will need one more coat. I just want to make sure all the petals fit underneath the resin and none will stick out through the top. And if any do stick out from this layer, then I would be able to just sand it back ever so slightly before placing the final top coat on. And again, I'm still using the Apex High Gloss resin, completely clear and no bubbles. Have I mentioned that there's no bubbles? So we're all dry now and all set and ready. I'm quite happy to go for the final clear coat using the amazing High Gloss resin. It's so shiny, so clear, and no bubbles. I feel as though I want to sing that all the way through the video. It's not very often it happens. Usually I end up mixing too quickly, and that introduces bubbles. I really just need patience to mix a wee bit slower. So again, just adding on the resin into each mould, making sure they're all level, making sure they're into each curve of the flower mould, and yeah, just make sure they're all about the same depth as each other. You don't want a wonky coaster. actually don't drink tea or coffee, so on my coaster will be a wine glass, and I really don't want a wonky wine glass. I want to keep that wine inside the glass and not spill a drop. Okay, so we're finishing off here. We're so close to the end, and I'm so excited to see how these turn out. I really need to stop fiddling. Just keep adding more. I want them exactly the same depth for each one, so it's a very, very fine process. I also want to make sure that I don't overflow the mould as well. I've done that a few times. Fingers crossed. We'll just let it cure now. So the next day, everything's all set, everything's all dry, and I can take the coasters out of the mould. I'm so pleased with them. Really, really happy that I've picked a lilac background. Really pleased that the purple and yellow just really pop out of the background, and I'm really, really pleased that I have no bubbles. I'm so happy with these, and I'll take some pictures and add them on to the end of this video just so that you've got a little bit more of a close-up and you can see in a wee bit more detail how delicate some of the flowers are, and yeah, that gorgeous glitter just sets it off really, really nicely. So thank you so much for joining me again, and I hope you come back soon and see my next video, which will be in another few days, possibly another week. Thanks for stopping by. Bye!